Hello there. How are you? Good evening. Wednesday night, what is it? The 29th of March, 2023, here on the East Coast of the United States of America. My name is Jack Allen Willard, and we are here with you, our midweek soiree. Saturday night was a lot of fun, a lot of people checking in from various parts of the world. More women than men. I think some of the men are scared, but we've been hearing from a lot of guys later on in the replay of the comments. Shelly B is first from Australia. Hello, Shelly B. Checking in from Sydney, Aussie land. And Shelly sent me a couple of things we'll comment on as we go along in our evening. We've got 4 people watching already. Let me know where you're watching from. Give your first name if you want, or your entire name. That's all up to you here at Worldwide Ramblings. Worldwide Ramblings. Later on, you'll see our logo for that, and Shelly B and her husband Greg created that, and I appreciate that very much. Shelly B also created a logo for the Radio Jack music shows, which I don't know if people would see them publicly. I mean, I can show it, but I think that that'll be for people that want the weekly hour-long Radio Jack music show. They will see that thumbnail. I'll have to find creative ways to use it because it's so nice. It's so nice. And I will show it to you maybe Saturday night. So we'll say hello to Cheryl Everhart from Georgia. Hi, I'm glad you're here with me. And Julie Sesko from Michigan. I think we've seen you before, right? Yeah, we have about 3 or 4 people that watch in Michigan. And then there's Marianne Rossi, who calls me Fred because I'm going to do the glasses thing. I think you're making reference to Fred Sanford. And yes, I have a monologue tonight, Marianne. So I'm going to be switching glasses because these are the long range computer glasses. They're really not very good for a close up reading, and they're my most recent glasses. You know how you get asked 1,000 questions when you're with the optometrist? And this time I think I picked wrong because these are only good for, I think I could wear these actually driving. I think I could. I've never had long range glasses like that, but I think I could possibly get away with it. Is that a 1 in front of the 4? Or am I seeing things? I think I think it could be a 1 in front of the 4. Is it 14? Could that be possible? On 13. I scared somebody away. Oh, but whoever you were, come back. Baby, come back. Anyone, any kind of fool could see there was something in everything about you. Baby, come back. Who did that group? A one-hit wonder. Who did it? Somebody must know. I'm not the only one with snow on my roof. Well, a little bit of snow right there. You won't see it for long. I'm like Dr. Now. Well, not quite like Dr. Now for my 600-pound life, which should be my 762-pound life half the time. That man, I've never seen a gray hair in his head. He must dye his hair every 8 or 9 days. Every 8 or 9 days. You meant to say Jack, huh? Slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. Hop on the bus, Gus. Just get yourself free. Free to live in a motel in Florida. It may not be what you thought it would be, although it'll be warmer, right? More dye needed, Jack? You missed a spot. No, I didn't miss a spot. It grew out, Shelly B. Michelle Marbell. I can't sing the French part. I knew someone, her name was Michelle. Isn't that funny? I worked with her at Honda, and her name was Michelle. And I mentioned there's a Beatles song, because she was young as All Get Out, whatever that means. I never thought of what All Get Out means. Hmm. Um, but I told her there was a Beatles song. Like, there's no way she would know this. Of course she would know it. And then she started singing the French part of Michelle, My Belle. Yeah, perfectly, perfectly. Um, so here we are. I'm going to do the monologue in a little bit, then we'll be asking about your wedding songs. Those of you who have been hitched, are hitched, or even if it was a ceremony without a legal piece of paper, because back in biblical times, there was no legal marriage. Um, what I read about it, there wasn't any kind of a formal ceremony at all. No vows, they said, but I don't believe that part because I think anyone certainly that was a person of faith would have came up with some version of vows, and they would have prayed and all that. So I don't think I believe what Wikipedia. You never know who's talking in Wikipedia. You never know who it is, but we're going to have some fun tonight. Yes, we are. I got my hot tea tonight, put it in my Bucky's cup that I got in on the way back from Port St. Lucie, Florida. I love it because it's styrofoam and styrofoam. Have you ever heard that? It's like styrofoam. But, the environmentalists here in New York have just taken the styrofoam away. Let me have a sip here because I don't want to flip my lid too long. There's several ex-wives that would say I lost it many years ago. Ah, very good. Cup of Tetley tea with cream in it. That's my beverage of choice. I mean, this is almost like not the Bucky's cup per se, but the hot tea with a half and half is like macaroni and cheese to me almost. The macaroni and cheese, where is that? It's over there. I've never showed you the macaroni and cheese. Saturday night, I will show you the best macaroni and cheese here in town. And I know you say you make it better, but it would be hard to beat the Colonial Diner macaroni and cheese. But it could be bought by Asians soon, and there could be chop suey in my macaroni and cheese. I'm not sure. I saw them. They haven't signed on the dotted line, or at least they hadn't when I was there last week. But I think they're going to. I think they're going to. I am drinking hot chocolate. By the way, no one named that group that did that song, right? Baby, come back. Don't look it up. Drinking hot chocolate. Name me the two big hits from hot chocolate, Marianne Rossi. Hot chocolate. Two big hits in the 70s. I guess it was the 70s, right? Hi, Jack. Have you ever had Earl Grey tea? Absolutely. See, I'm not, if it's like a bouquet of flowers, it's not tea to me. No more than white chocolate is chocolate, or peppermint soft candy is licorice. No, or red even. Licorice has got to be black, or to me, it's not licorice. I'm just weird that way. Yes, so that would be my choice if I can't get my Tetley tea. This would often happen when I'm in a hotel motel, Patricia, and those are the choices. Earl Grey tea, absolutely. That's black tea, and that's what I like. I don't drink green tea because I think it might mess with my blood pressure medicine. And Rhonda's here. Rhonda Ledbetter. Hello, another one from Michigan. See, do you know Julie, Rhonda? You probably see her at the grocery store. Never hear from my buddy Robert in Michigan. You think he would be here, but I don't see Robert. Where are you? Where are you? Notice it's all women. My goodness. It's not like I'm John Stamos here doing a radio show. It's kind of what we're doing is a radio show, isn't it? I know it's video radio, but there was a great one of the guys who wants to be called Steve, not Steven, um, or Steepen, like the T is a Steepen. he was don't lose your train of thought, Jackie, Jimmy, whatever my name is. Um, Shelly H is here from Canada. Well, yeah. Hello, Mike. Oh, finally a guy, huh? Hey, Jack. Nice to have you with us, Mike Fortner, wherever you may be. I can't remember. You probably told me before. But yeah, well, I was going to say something amusing. Nobody knows the songs from Hot Chocolate. Nobody knows the song. Who did the song Baby Come Back? Alabama. Yeah. The great state of Alabama, the Bible Belt. That's another place where woke goes to die, I bet, Mike, right? Alabama. They've had some invasion into Texas, especially in the Austin area, but, you know, Governor, uh, I was going to say Governor Santos, Ron DeSantis. um, he always likes to say about Florida, Florida is where woke goes to die. Yeah. Shelly B, you might be drawing the ladies in. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you troublemaker, you. Oh yeah, yeah. That's like I just call myself Rob Lowe and nobody will know the difference. I'll start I even drink those shakes, usually every day. I have an Atkins shake for breakfast, or at least 5 times a week. I have either the milk chocolate or the strawberry, and I keep drinking them, and I still can't. I can't turn into. I can't morph into Rob Lowe as hard as I try. Oh my goodness! Can you imagine? Can you imagine the opportunities that man has had? He got into trouble back when he was younger, but we won't talk about that. He got out of that one though. Close call. Check the IDs, buddy. Check the IDs. Sounds Aussies, yeah, Aussies. You gotta love them. Yeah, okay, that's right. You're saying they're a little bit on the naughty side, cranky. Oh, how we loved Steve Irwin. I felt a gut punch on the day he died. I was with well, I got to be careful with this one. I was in a relationship and we were doing gigs and we were at a hotel, I believe, in Florida. And uh, we were at the free breakfast they have in the morning. And the news came on that Steve Irwin had passed away in the water. And that was just, horrible to hear. Just like when I heard Anthony Bourdain, there's certain people that it just really affects you because you love them so much, and they've played a part in your life. Um, Anthony Bourdain is the master storyteller as he traveled around the world, and Steve Irwin as the man who, he pushed his luck. I don't believe in luck really, but he pushed fate too many times. Too many times. Yeah, Ron the Sanctimonious. It's a shame that President Trump, who did a wonderful job in so many respects. Yes, I would vote for him again if he was the candidate. But he's so offended that Ron is going to run against him. And how do we know for sure? Because Ron DeSantis has just scheduled a speech in Israel. The governor of Florida is going to Israel during kind of a rough time for them out there. They're mad at their prime minister, uh, Mr. Netanyahu. They're mad at him. I like him a lot, and I certainly Israel is on my bucket list. It's going to take some money though, money that I currently uh, don't have. That's right. He died from a stinger of a stingray. Yeah, and it was filmed too, but they didn't release that tape and I don't want to see it in Perth, Western Australia. Okay, yeah, you got it. You're you're bringing back memories. Um, yeah, so many times he escaped death, and but when you have young kids and stuff like that, you got to be extra careful, and you got to think, could that happen? And if so, you know, and I know that his kids are both involved in it. to some degree. Hi, Becca. Becca is here. That's the first time you've used your last name, I think. Um, at least that I can remember. Hi, everyone. So glad that you're here, Becca. And yeah, we have, like a 19 people right now watching, which is cool. And what I'm going to do um, is just do my monologue. Some of you will be talking amongst yourselves, but then there's always the replay audience. If you're watching the replay, you're just as much a part of our family. And coughing because I'm getting ready to do the monologue, that I wrote earlier. And then I found Tucker was talking about the same thing, but I didn't get it from Tucker. Watch Tucker. Do you get Tucker? Tucker Carlson in Australia? Do you get our channels there? Tucker's our number one guy here in the United States of America, about 4 million viewers a night. And that's a heck of a lot more than Anderson Cooper is getting. But yet he sold out, didn't he? All his objectivity went out the window because that's what you get for hating Trump. You give him your reputation. How stupid is that? I mean, I expect the people on MSNBC to be crazy. Don't get me started. All right, I'll get off that soapbox. Joe Scarborough, what a moron. A moron. Ah, we have the evil. I don't know who that is. That's your prime minister. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I got some other things. Yeah, that's certainly something we can talk about. I'd love to hear about what you feel about the lockdown when it occurred and what have you. I get Tucker on Rumble, says Shelly B. Oh, okay, great. I didn't know they put the show on there. I know that Russell Brand, the latest big star in this kind of media talk, is on Rumble, and he's right here on YouTube as well. And talk about a guy who came out of the gate. I mean, he's already an accomplished British actor, but that seemed to be fading a little bit. He did the remake of Arthur and things like that. But now he's in high demand, and Fox has sat down with Bill Maher. They want him to come on, and he wants to come on, and I think Tucker will be the first show that he does. He doesn't agree, obviously, with everything that Fox News peddles, but he agrees with, how destructive the woke environment is. This is Bill Maher I'm talking about. Economic Ninja on YouTube. All right, I'm going to do the monologue. That means I got to switch glasses. That's why I thought you were calling me Fred. And then we'll get happy again. But you can react to this and react to whatever topic you would like to bring up. But I will be asking for wedding songs, okay? All right, let's do the monologue here like Rush Limbaugh would do, only with about 1/8 of the talent that man had. It was incredible. He could just talk for 3 hours and hold, how many millions was it? 25, 30 million? Just sitting in a studio, and even if he didn't take calls and he didn't have a guest, and he rarely had a guest, he could hold 25 million just talking. That's how gifted he was. Incredible. All right, here we go. Let's do this because we had a terrible tragedy again, didn't we? Once again, horrific tragedy happened this time in Nashville at a private Christian school. A 28-year-old woman identifying as a man killed 3 60-plus adults and 3 children students around 9 years old. It was the 4th time in recent months someone identifying as trans or non-binary went on a shooting spree. The common denominator is mental illness because they were a shooter, not because of the orientation that they were choosing. That's their personal decision. It's their business, not mine. And that was mental illness preceded by a myriad of warning signs. Within minutes of this awful event, shrill voices only wanted to talk about one thing: banning the weapons used, of course. There was a local news reporter, not local to Nashville, but I'm not sure where she was from. She was on vacation in Nashville with her kids. And when she heard about this happening, she rushed to the scene, I guess, with her children. There was a conference going on. She whispered to somebody that she was a reporter too. And as soon as the news conference was over, she went up to the podium and started screaming about the horrors of people who own guns. And I'm tired of covering these stories. You know, a local person trying to become a national person, it sounded like. And I thought, man, this thing just happened probably an hour or ago. And there you are, there you are. And of course, it didn't take long for the national media, the CNN people and MSNBC, et cetera, to talk about that. And there wasn't much of a time of mourning. Um, can you imagine what the lead would be if a shooter known to be a religious fanatic barged into a nightclub known to be frequented by gay, lesbian, and trans people and started firing shots from an automatic rifle? It would be condemnation of a person and a religion right away. They would quickly want uh, Christian extremists to be banned. They would be saying all kinds of negative things about the Christian faith. Here's what happens to these Christians. All become extremists and would trump, no pun intended, and would trump even the call to confiscate and make illegal having an assault rifle. But on November 21st, 2022, in Colorado Springs, a man identifying as non binary entered the Colorado gay nightclub and killed 5 people and wounded 17 others before he was taken down by other patrons that were in that club that night. Took them a while to get to him, but at least they did it and just didn't stand there and be mowed down. You got to fight like hell. Although it was labeled as a hate crime, the emphasis was not on self hate, like a self hate crime, because he was going after people that he probably mingled with. The focus was on those evil rifles. No citizen should be allowed to have one. The actual outcome would be, if we did that, criminals and crazy people would be able to get those automatic weapons. There are, I'm talking about America now, estimated to be, are you ready? 400 million guns in America. The black market is strong now and would be even stronger if it was ever outlawed. But mentally well, law abiding citizens who will probably never use those weapons will go to jail if they're found to be in possession of them. That's what they want to accomplish. The truth is, there are 2,000-pound gorillas in the room. Number one is mental illness. Rather than treat mentally ill programs with mandatory participation, we allow sick individuals here in America to destroy their own lives and their families' lives, make them victims too, and sometimes innocent strangers, including little defenseless children, kids. Audrey Hale, the woman identifying as a man in Nashville, left plenty of clues that should have red flagged him, her, so she could never buy guns. Audrey lived with mommy and daddy, who said she sold all her guns. That's what she told her parents. I've sold all my automatic weapons and my handguns. The police should have been asked to come in and verify that. You would have had to be sure you knew that your daughter was mentally ill. Mentally ill. Long history of it. Under treatment. Audrey told a friend the night before the shootings that it would be his last day on earth. Deeply mentally ill people need to be housed and medicated in a facility till they're well enough to function in society. If you give mentally ill people a choice, they will tell you to take your medication, take your rules, take your place that I have to go to get well, take all that and shove it. That's just what they will do so much of the time. The other gorilla in the room is hate and a willingness to commit violence against those that stand in their way to transform America into a violent war zone. Oh, wait, we are already there. It's already happening everywhere. The children, and this is not all parents I'm talking about here. We've got some great millennial parents that raise their kids right. Thank God for you. The children of the bad parenting millennials are grown up and they hate America. They hate work. They love stimuluses. Some want reparations. They hate God. They hate family values. They will take what they want by force. They'll ransack your convenience store. They'll bust open the case at the jewelry store and be out in 3 minutes. It's happening all over with woke prosecutors that won't hold them accountable. They will look the other way. Oh, and in play as well is a serious threat from China, Russia, Iran, and we continue to give billions to the Ukraine, which is basically a bombed out shell. Mostly life in 2023 is getting increasingly dangerous, no matter where you live. I mean, there are still some places that are a lot safer than others. Ronald Reagan said, "We are always one generation away from losing our democracy." That generation now walks amongst us. We're here. It's not coming, it's here. And I don't know if you saw the movie When a Stranger Calls, the first one I'm talking about with Charles Durning, but he plays the detective and he tells the babysitter, he calls up on the phone. He calls the babysitter and says, because she's been getting these threatening phone calls, and he tells her, "Get out of the house. The calls are coming from inside the house." That was a great movie. We can talk about great movies. So that's my monologue. When things are happening like this, you have to talk about them from time to time. Now I got to put on the other glasses to see what everybody is saying here, and you don't have to respond to what I just said. Whatever's on your mind, then we're going to ask you about wedding songs, and I hope I'll get some because I have a feeling, at least from the American people, I'm going to hear the same songs over and over. We'll see if that's true. That could be a narrative, just saying. Well, I'm not going to do a podcast because I'm not famous enough to do it. So this is kind of my podcast, and I thank YouTube for the worldwide voice. They do allow conservative voices here, and I do appreciate them very uh, much. Did Lisa Marie disappear? She could have earned how from EP or MJ. Cass, all I can say is that I believe with all my heart that Lisa Marie Presley passed away. When the comments come up in pre-recorded videos, I usually delete them. I do delete them because I think it's kind of disrespectful to her memory, but you're certainly entitled to your opinion. What I find out is that one leads to another, MJ is the other. And then there's John F. Kennedy Jr., and there's Jim Morrison, and there was Andy Kaufman for a long time. That seems to have finally gone away. Um, so I just stay away from that. Um, we do the Bob Joyce videos here. Not forever, by the way, but we do the Bob Joyce videos here. And if we should be right with our conclusions, that would, be very hurtful to him. I think what happened is simply that she went on a crash diet and she wanted to lose weight for the Golden Globes. you know, not a very who cares about the Golden Globes, really? It's nice, I suppose, to win one, but unless Ricky Gervais is hosting them, I'm not usually too interested, and he hasn't been hosting, but he was always the best, I think. Of course, anything that Billy Crystal hosts is always good. Yeah, that's what I would agree with, Rhonda. R.I.P. Lisa Marie Presley. Scott Baker, what's the big deal? Abraham's wife had a child way after childbearing years ago. Elvis could be alive as a pastor in Arkansas. Um, well, a lot of people would agree with you here on your conclusion there, Scott. You're in the right place. You know, I could think of a few places you wouldn't be so welcome. And the same goes for me, buddy. It's just par for the course. Um, but yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff about Abraham, right? I mean, Father Abraham had many sons, and you know what happened when he got drunk. I'm not gonna go into that myself. Hi, y'all. Three Severed Heads is here. He's my favorite serial killer. He really is. He brings serial killing in, I think, into a better light. I'm just kidding. Three Severed Heads. It almost sounds like that's a group. It sounds like that's a group that would have raves at their concerts. I mean, a mosh pit, a mosh pit. It was funny when I went to see the Psychedelic Furs for the first time in 2022. We had seen them before that, but 2022, it was in this place in Albany, New York, and there were no seats. I'm going to be standing for 2.5 hours. And this was 2021. I didn't have a mask on, and none of those people did either. And I'm thinking, if I'm ever going to get COVID, I had my shots, at least two by then, maybe three. I don't know. Um, that's a whole other story. I'm not a spokesman for the shots, and I'm not saying don't take it. It's your personal decision. But I had to stand for 2.5 hours, and I thought this place should have a mosh pit. It looks like that, very dark, what have you. Just a limited amount of things at the beverage, but Karen wanted to be right up front, and we were leaning on this iron grate, and the band was right there, and they had a long opening act, and I'm thinking I'm never going to make it through. But as soon as the first came on, I forgot all about that. And that is Shelley in Australia. She's like the Australian fan club president of the Psychedelic Furs, I think. Hello, Christine Hill. How you doing? We used your photo, didn't we? We used your photo today. It would have been better if I did it as a roll and someone said do a screenshot. If you can do a screenshot version of that, bringing it in really tight, Christine, in the comments section, can you do that? I don't know. Of that video that's up, Bob Joyce up close. If you can do that closer than I got it by just holding a phone up, that would be wonderful, because people wanted a closer version than I was. But can't they also make it closer when they see it? I don't know. I'm a technical idiot. So how would I know these things? Um, yeah, she put them in mothballs. She put those furs in mothballs. Well, uh, you either get it or you don't. And there are people that like back in the day, Kurt Cobain. I never got it, but there were people that loved him so much. But I uh, I, I never was a metalhead. Do we have metalheads out there? I was never a metalhead, but I liked hard driving rock and roll, like say Led Zeppelin's song "Rock and Roll." That's a great song, something like that. But I also like Perry Como, Dean Martin, and Connie Francis, because my mother liked that stuff, and I grew up a little big band, sure, jazz a little bit, yeah, sure, absolutely, a little jazz, um, and I'm just looking to see what everybody is writing. Um, you can try. Well, thank you, Christine. All we can do is try in life. We can only try if you can, because somebody was requesting that, and uh, I don't know how to do that. I don't. Yeah, it's when you look really close, but hey, we could be wrong. I only speak of possibilities. So, anybody got any wedding songs? Anybody got any wedding songs? What was your wedding song? Have you been hitched, or is everybody single here? I know that Shelly B has been married at least 5 times, and but I'm not sure about the rest of you. I was married twice. My first wedding song was Suddenly by Billy Ocean, which was a pretty big hit record at the time. I was playing it on the radio. In my first wedding, most of the, a lot of, not most, but a lot of the people attending my wedding were fellow radio disc jockeys with their significant others. In fact, the band that played my wedding was my boss, the radio programmer, the lead singer, lead guitarist of the Harrison Street Band, which are still around today. I'm talking about I got married in 1985 with my big curly perm. I got a picture. I'll show it to you maybe Saturday night. I can't grab that now. And I'll show you the macaroni and cheese Saturday night. But um, my boss was my band, and they had to quickly learn the song Suddenly by Billy Ocean, my first wedding song. Becca is single and she looks very pretty, so look out. Look out. They're either going to hate you or it's going to be a guy who's going to love you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Joseph Kelly, looks like you said you've been divorced 38 times, but that can't be right. Courthouse marriage, so no music. Oh, okay. Yeah. Um, so yeah, my first wedding song was "Suddenly Life Has New Meaning," not no meaning. Life has new meaning to me. There's something up above. You wake up and suddenly you're in love. That was my first wedding song. And that marriage lasted 17 years. And then I got remarried. And I won't say much about this except the wedding song was Boz Scaggs. Anybody know who Boz Scaggs is? The guy who did Lido Shuffle and JoJo and other songs like that. But he had a beautiful ballad which seemed to express the second time around very well. Love, look what you've done to me. I never thought I'd fall again so easily. Boz Scaggs was my second wedding song. Shelley H. Sheriff, When I'm With You. You made me think of the song I Shot the Sheriff by Eric Clapton when I was doing the all night DJ up at the Big Castle, which is about a mile and a half or less that way. I used to get a call from the Kingston, New York police force about 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And they would request I Shot the Sheriff. That was it. That was like their only song. Like I had this guy at the Goshen, New York post office that would come to work around 5 a.m. and he would call me every Saturday morning at about 5:40. I see the line light up and I know it's that guy and I know he's going to request the same exact song every time, which was Madonna and Borderline. And one time I just said, it's bad enough he's always requesting the same song. He's doing it on the same day and the same time. So every Saturday morning, the people are hearing Borderline, you know? And I thought, this is the thing about radio and talk radio this goes for. Let me have a sip of my tea here. My wedding song would be Love Stinks. It's very funny, Becca. I used to play that song on the radio. I played Love Stinks. Who the heck was that? Can't think of the group. Yeah. True love is the lesson we are all on this planet to learn. I can't disagree with that. Can't disagree with that. Um, What is the old saying, though? This is the flesh speaking now. I just agreed with you, but that was me in the spirit. The flesh would say, and I'm not going to make the mistake I made last time. Don't worry. Um, um, Sex without love ain't bad. I forget where I first heard that, but hello, everyone from Georgia. Hello, Judy Wright. You made me think of that song, The Cleanup Woman from Betty Wright. And then we had a local news reporter named Betty Wright as well. I just realized she was also Betty Wright. Nashville shooter has two different pairs of shoes. I thought you were going to say a poomp, a poomp, like Steve Martin pronounced it in the Pink Panther movie that he did. You don't have any shoes with heels, he says to the pretty attractive woman. Not even a poop. Steve Martin is a genius, a comic genius. Um, and Oh, well, there you go, Shelley B. Ours was Can't Help Falling in Love by Pastor Bob Joyce, right? I just heard him sing it in the church. Yeah, it's a beautiful one. That has to be in the top 10 American love wedding songs. I'm waiting to see if anyone will come up with what are the top two. If anyone had the top two wedding songs, I'm talking about from the 70s now. Today, who knows? It could be White Wedding now. I love Billy Idol. I wonder if that's too hard a rock and roll for you, Shelly B. Is that too hard for you? Should we bring on the Ray Conniff Singers or Mantovani for you? If you don't like White Wedding, if you don't like Rebel Yell, you don't like rock and roll, especially 80s. Now, I'm fine if you like the softer stuff from Huey Lewis and the News, because I'm a huge fan of that. What's an incorrect comment? I never know. You got to tell me. But the thing about what they say about sex without love, well, is that what you mean? See, you gotta let me know if you think I've said something inappropriate, because I'll talk about that. But that is a saying that men use. I'm just quoting it. That's all I'm doing. I don't know that women always go for their true love as their first relationship. You know what I mean? I don't think that happens a lot. Love 50s music to 80s music. Well, I'm right there with you, Shelly H. I'm right there with you. But I like a little bit of the 40s and only a very select stuff. There's some good country after the 80s. And of course, I was on you'd never know it now, right? But I was on a contemporary Christian music network for 14 years up in Kingston, New York. I talked about Kingston before, didn't I? I was on a 14 station network that got into about 7 states. And the contemporary Christian music of the 90s, because the 90s was awful in every other respect, I think, except for Celine Dion, Here, There, Wherever You Are. Yeah, that was an all right song. I'll admit that was a pretty good song, but wasn't too much of a fan of the 90s music other than that. But the 90s contemporary Christian music was fantastic. People like Bob Carlyle, before he did Butterfly Kisses, talk about wedding songs. Anybody have Butterfly Kisses as your wedding song? 23 people watching right now. And by the way, if you're watching the replay, let us know what your wedding song was, and we'll comment on it there. We can have a fellowship with you there. This virtual church is open both live and virtual, digital, whatever. Sometimes I look at the comments and I have to try to read comments before that to see what someone is singing. We had Karen Carpenter sing for our wedding. She came right there, huh? Well, you have money, Debbie Crum, and welcome, Debbie Crum. I think you've been here before, right? I don't know what part of the world you're watching from. I'd love to know. You don't have to tell me, but I always love to know where you're watching from. Someone, I think Shelley B told me France, What video was that in? I wanted to look at that comment from France. I wanted to check that out. I have to add that to my list. It's not that I don't believe you. Oh yeah, Cleveland, Ohio. So how is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Debbie? What's your impression of it? I'd like to know that because I have never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm counting on you telling me you have. Yes, the cough button. Oh, yeah, I was talking about radio. See, I lose my train of thought. It goes off the tracks, and I'm not even Norfolk Southern. I pronounce that title very carefully. If I'm going to talk about that place in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, Norfolk. That's how I would say it. Anybody get what I'm saying there? How other people pronounce it? It is awesome, yeah. What was your favorite thing that you saw on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? What impressed you the most? I'd love to know. I've only been through Cleveland on a Greyhound bus when I was headed to Los Angeles when I was real young, many moons ago. Before the electric light, I think. But funny, they had a Greyhound bus. That's quite amazing. We had kerosene lighting in the bus, I guess. I don't know. Shelly B says Summit. What's that mean? I don't know. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I'd like to go there someday. I really would. So we're not getting a lot of wedding songs. I'd also be interested in what your favorite songs are in general, like whether it be rock, pop, or country. I may know it if it's country. I don't know too much of the modern country. I know that song, All My Exes Live in Texas, but it's really not true. Only one of them does. Only one of them does. Um, and I got to get there soon. Got to get there soon to see my daughter and my granddaughter. Got to get there real soon. Um, oh, yes, Niagara Falls, Canada, Shelley H. Wright. So we haven't got Shelley with an I yet, but we've got at least 3 Shelleys, right? Total, at least 3. One of them is Michelle. Are you also Michelle, Shelley H? Yeah, Niagara Falls, Canada. Um, now that they require a passport, I gotta get one. I mean, we could go up to Maine, and Karen always wanted to see Calais, Maine, or as you guys say in Canada, and I like the way you pronounce it much better, Calais. Calais, and that's how Karen says it because it just sounds so much better than callous. But most of the people on the American side say Calais, Maine, which is not far from Eastport, and we used to go down to Eastport. Um, and not Karen and I, way before her. um, but yeah, we used to go down to Eastport, and on the way there was the Friendly Restaurant. Not Friendlies, the chain, which is just about defunct now. There's a few of them left. We had one or two. We had two in Middletown, I think. I think we had one at the mall for a while. They're both gone. But it was called the Friendly Restaurant, and this was home cooking. I'm talking about cod, that deep fried batter dip, which is ruining the how good it really is for you. But that and then they had homemade chocolate cream pie and stuff. It's kind of like when we go to the Polish Club in Pine Island, New York, twice a year to see Jimmy Sturr, who will be seeing at Poco Weekend on the 14th. I won't be doing the weekend of the 14th, 15th, 16th. I won't be on that Saturday night because I'll be up at Villa Roma. But you know what I am going to do? I'm going to do some recording, and then I'll have Dandy Andy edit it in later. And they don't like you to film the dancing at Poco Weekend. I don't know why that is, but they don't like you to do that. But I'll show you the nightclub and everything, and I'll show you the beautiful lobby and the beautiful dining room there. And can't show you the pool. That's evading invading people's privacy. That's it's an invasion, so I can't do that. Yeah, I love home cooking too. Oh boy, try to find it at restaurants. The best you'll get is Golden Corral, and sometimes they're really great, I have to say. Close to you, yeah. Karen Carpenter was not there, but I Wish She Was. She was one of the most incredible singers of all times. A hauntingly beautiful voice, wouldn't you say, Debbie? Just a hauntingly beautiful voice. And the moment Herb Albert heard that voice, there was no doubt he wanted to sign Karen Carpenter. And not only that, they had some songs already that Richard had written. Now, their second big hit, they had a lead song that didn't do. They actually did a beautiful version. You know this already, some of you, of "Ticket to Ride," the Beatles song. They slowed it down, and she just turns it into this beautiful, sad song that she was a master of. And then that didn't really do what they were hoping, but then they released "Close to You," and they were superstars. And then there was a need for a follow-up hit. And somebody, maybe it was Herb Albert, maybe it would probably have been Herb Albert, heard this bank commercial that was very popular in California. Couples buying their own home for the first time, and there's this jingle in there. We've only just begun. He heard that, and he said, "Well, let me find out who wrote that jingle." And it was Paul Davis, not Paul Davis, right? The little guy who was in Smokey and the Bandit. Is Paul Davis doesn't sound right. It sounds like the guy who sang the song "Cool Night" and "Do Right" and a bunch of other hits. Um, Paul, the little guy from Smokey and the Bandit, he was in a couple of those. Um, hmm, Funny how things escape you. So he got Paul on the phone and he said, I like your jingle, but I can't help but think that could be a wonderful song, a full song. Do you think you could write that? You think you could finish that? Because I have this group called the Carpenters, and we would love to have that song for them. And Paul sat down, and in a very short time, he wrote "We Only Just Begun," a mega hit from the Carpenters, hit number two. Paul Williams, of course. See, this is what bothers me, Christine Hill Staley. And I can't remember something like that. I know Paul Williams. He used to do the Mike Douglas show a lot in the 70s. And yeah, he did a number of movies. Scott Baker, yes, I agree. Karen Carpenter's voice, in my opinion, I think he's saying best of all time, and I can't argue because she had that haunting quality that was hard to beat. I guess the song "At Last," you hear that quality in there, not from her. I'm trying to remember from who. It's a classic. At last. Hmm. Another great song. Now there's a great song. Oh, really? Well, here's a new guy, and I'm glad you were motivated to say hi because we need more guys here. A lot of my guys that I hear from in the videos and the comments, I'm not hearing from live. Jimmy, maybe. My sister walked down the aisle too. We've only just begun. Well, that's different. We've only just begun. Beautiful song, and I could see that happening. Yeah. Not the traditional wedding march, huh? I did the wedding march both times, I believe. But where you from, Jimmy? If you don't mind saying, we'd love to. We'd love to know. I have. Where did I put them? Lost my list. I think they got buried somewhere. But I'll write it down on my pad here. If you're from a state or a country that we have not heard from. Um, Oh, you think Roger Nichols had a hand in "We Only Just Begun"? We've only just begun. You think so? Yeah. Yeah, you could be right. Oh, from South Carolina. Well, all right. You're not the first one from South Carolina. We have a few, but I just got back from Port St. Lucie, but before I got to Port St. Lucie a few weeks ago, I stopped in Walterboro, South Carolina, to see my friend Alex Murdo, but he wasn't at home for some reason. I don't know where he was. That's a bad joke. I'm sorry. And I'm certainly not glorifying what he did. But I lived in Rock Hill, South Carolina for 2 years, around 2008 into 2010. I lived in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and visited other parts of South Carolina, like Columbia. And where's the racetrack? Where's the racetrack? Is that just over the North Carolina line in Gaston? I think so. Um, I miss good comedy. It seems to be disappearing. Red Skelton, Carol Burnett, Lucy, the Dean Martin roast, Cheers, etc. Yeah, Shelley H., I know what you mean. Red was just a genius. He was a genius. Carol Burnett was absolutely a genius. Lucy was a genius. Dean Martin roast, yeah, they could be very funny. Anybody remember Foster Brooks? Foster Brooks played the drunk man like nobody could, and he had good material to go with it. So he'd stumble into a pretend bar on the Dean Martin Variety Hour, and he'd say, I just stopped in to get a little drink to calm my nerves before I go to work, and he would be burping and what have you. And the way he did it, watch Foster Brooks here on YouTube. If you've never seen him, you'll be very amused. And Dean Martin, of course, would ask him, um, what kind of work do you do? And he had a different line and a different role every time he did this because it happened over a number of shows. And he said, I'm a airline pilot. He says, I can't get over how I have all these people's lives right in the palms of my hands. Foster Brooks, incredible. Some of that humor you couldn't do anymore. Some of it was a little over the line, a little bit sometimes. Um, I'm all for being able to laugh at ourselves. And Sammy Davis, they Don Rickles would come at him like when they roasted Sammy, and they would do humor that was sort of on the edge, but everybody knew it was all in fun. And Frank Sinatra, who was there for that, I'm sure, loved Sammy Davis. They went into a restaurant maybe around 1964. Frank Sinatra walks into a restaurant with Sammy Davis, and I'm not sure who else was with them. And somebody from the staff came up to Frank on the side and whispered that they don't allow black people in this restaurant. And I can't remember exactly what Frank told him, but he let him know that Sammy was going to go and sit down, and they should be honored that he's in their restaurant. That's how it could be. That's how it could be. Um, Don Rickles, yeah, he could be funny. He was definitely funny, and sometimes, right on the edge, right on the edge, just like Buddy Hackett, who I don't know if he did any roast, because basically Buddy Hackett was a very blue comedian. Karen's parents actually took her. I don't think they really realized they saw the Buddy Hackett on the Mike Douglas show, Johnny Carson. I don't think they realized that Buddy Hackett was not going to be that when you go up to the Concord Hotel, which is now defunct in near Monticello, New York, or near Liberty, right? Can't remember. I think it's Liberty. Um, it's not going to be the same. He's going to be much bluer. And, they brought their teenage daughter to see Buddy Hackett, so she remembers that experience. Hello, Redneck Ways. The guys are coming in now. I'm assuming Three Severed Heads is a guy because you don't see too many female serial killers. Uh, Red, Redneck Ways. Don gets on my nerves. Not funny. See, you don't find him funny. Other people did, but I can understand what you're saying about he gets on your nerves. Because yeah, it's kind of grating after a while, right? To me, from that era, one of the funniest people was Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield was like lightning fast when he was on the Tonight Show, and it was just one after another. It wasn't just a stand-up monologue. He would sit down with Johnny, and Etta James did at last. Thank you, Linda Francis, a new name. Um, Linda Francis, where are you from? Thank you so much for being here. Um, but Rodney, extremely funny. David Brenner was very funny. David Brenner caused the people who made the hot dog buns to change their ways because one of his jokes was, I got a pack of hot dogs here with 8 hot dogs in it, and I got a bag of hot dog buns with 10 rolls. What am I supposed to do with those 2 extra hot dog rolls? That was one of his lines. He was so funny. And after that, the hot dog bun manufacturers said, "Yeah, why are we putting 10 when there's 8 in a package?" This is before it could be as little as 6 if you get like Hebrew National Franks, and I love Hebrew National Franks, and I love Nathan's Franks as well. And Ballpark is okay, you know. If you're buying that, what's that? That money saving brand, ain't no taste to those hot dogs at all. Can't remember the name at the moment. You like Buddy Hackett, huh? Great storyteller. Really? See, I didn't see too much of that. I didn't see too much of that, but I bet you Karen did when she went to see him at the Concord with her embarrassed parents. Richie Rich was great also. You know, I don't know if I've ever seen that, but I've sure heard about it. You like laughing, Judy Wright? You did? Yeah, I never watched it regularly. I could never say that word when I was a disc jockey. And if I had to do a pre-recorded commercial after I got done with my radio show, I would change it to normally price, something like that, because I never felt I was saying regularly right. I'm probably still not. Yeah, we're up to 23 here in the we've been on for over an hour already here on a Wednesday night going into Thursday morning. Michael Stein, hello. You're not watching live tonight because you have an appointment, but you'll be watching the replay. All of you watching the replay, let me know what your favorite wedding song is or anything that's on your mind. We have a monologue that if you tuned in late, check out the monologue talking about the Nashville tragedy. That's you know, about 7 or 8 minutes into the show. Um, 3 severed heads. Jack, I changed my photo just for you tonight. And this is your photo on what now? Your YouTube? Some of you have a YouTube page with subscribers and everything. And others have obviously Facebook. And some of you are on Twitter. I don't do the Twitter. I've never had a Twitter account, but I may get one. I'm thinking about it. Linda Francis says Etta James and Aretha Franklin sang at last. Did Aretha cover that? Yeah, Etta James is definitely the version, Linda Francis, from wherever you are. Um, you could be in a state of confusion, you know. Joseph Kelly, you want some clean comedy? Listen to James Gregory and the late, great Jerry. You've mentioned this guy before, haven't you? Clower. His last name is pronounced like Plower, so I got it right? But with a C, not a P. James Gregory. Is that the Southern heavyset guy who's now not as fat as he used to be? There is a guy that I watch who is hilarious. I follow him on YouTube. He's very good. The Vicar of Dibley. And by the way, Shelley B was talking about Australia, and I was asking her, we don't have to get heavy and talk about the lockdown time. Probably don't want to remember that. But all of a sudden, Tucker was talking about, I usually watch Tucker almost every night if I'm home. 8 o'clock is Tucker time here. And he was saying, now I got to read my own writing. Australian government people that wouldn't follow the COVID rules were put in kind of he called it a concentration camp where they had to stay. You know, I know that's a strong word, but they had to go to some place and stay there until the government felt that they were clear if they weren't cooperating and staying in for the lockdown. And yeah, all because of COVID. Also, there were I know we get a Scotland viewer here. There were very draconian laws in Scotland, New Zealand. I remember that the president issue, or is she the prime minister? I thought, here you go. Here's your dictator. I guess she was elected. It's free over in New Zealand, right? But here she is now being your personal dictator. She's now the queen, and you must bow to the queen. And there were so many mistakes made during this time, so much overreaction, but there were also legitimate problems. There were horrific deaths in hospitals, people being put on respirators. I made the choice, being in my 60s, early 60s at the time, to get the COVID shots, to roll the dice. I knew that we didn't know everything about them. I didn't think that Fauci was flawless or anything like that. But I just didn't want to end my days on a respirator. So I did it, and I've had no adverse reactions other than when there is a full moon. I do usually turn into a werewolf, and the next thing I know, when the sun comes up, my clothes are all torn and bloody. I don't know what I was up to, but there's rumors about some kind of menace in town. I'm saying that because I'm thinking of Dark Shadows. I'm a big Dark Shadows fan, the TV show that aired from 1966 into 1971. Big Josh is here. Now, I know this isn't Josh from Moonshiners. Josh from Moonshiners, and I have a Moonshiners video up here. Like, I have 2 Dark Shadows videos up. Please watch them. Josh, his last name, I know his last name like I know my own. Josh from Moonshiners. While I was driving back from Port St. Lucie, I hadn't left the state of Florida, and while I was just around the Daytona area on Route 95, Josh from Moonshiners had a motorcycle accident on the Daytona Speedway, and was pretty badly banged up, broke his leg and what have you, and that will be probably the season finale of Moonshiners, because even though it had nothing to do with Moonshiners, they know that when Josh goes to something like that, I mean, they hope he's going to be okay, but he's wiped out there before in a stock car. This guy's always getting injured. And in fact, the new episode is loaded, and I'll be watching it during the day tomorrow, probably. But yeah, Josh wiped out, and he was probably going to the hospital as I was driving by the Daytona Beach exit about 3 weeks ago. Well, I'll see you. Thank you, Scott Baker. I'm so glad you stopped by. Some of you have to work. Linda Francis is from Florida, and Big Josh is from Florida. Yes, I'm envious. You got the best governor around, although is it Kristi Noem? She's fantastic. Is that South Dakota? I know the South Dakota governor is excellent. The Idaho governor is excellent. The Michigan governor, I wouldn't have her run a McDonald's. She'd only screw it up. But anyway, that's just me speaking. So thank you, Scott. Yes. Barnabas Collins, you got it, Debbie Crumb. Sometimes I forget. I mean to react to something, and then, of course, my train of thought goes off the tracks again. I wore my Barnabas shirt in the last live. I think I wore it the last time, right? Saturday night, I wore it. I have Karen has one too, and she has a real picture of Jonathan Frid as Barnabas Collins. Of course, in 1991, the actor from Chariots of Fire, Ben. Oh, he's passed away now, as Jonathan Frid has. Ben, popular actor, recreated the role of Barnabas Collins, but it was during the Gulf War, and they kept getting preempted, and the show didn't last, but maybe eight episodes or what have you. There's also, of course, 2 Dark Shadows movies. One that they did while the actual TV show was being taped in New York. Jonathan had to run to Tarrytown with the major cast members, and that kind of hurt the show, having Jonathan Frid gone from Dark Shadows for 6 weeks while he was filming the movie House of Dark Shadows in Tarrytown at Lyndhurst Mansion. We go to Lyndhurst Mansion probably do it again this year, every October 30th to meet Catherine Lee Scott, who just turned 80 years old. She was Maggie Evans, Josette Dupre on Dark Shadows, Rachel Drummond, and Kitty Hampshire. She played like 5, 6 different roles, but mostly either Maggie Evans or Josette Dupre. And we got FaceTime with her, got to share some time with her, and she's just a wonderful, wonderful woman who's done so many things, including she owns and writes books for Pomegranate Press. Pomegranate Press. Check her books out. That's Catherine Lee Scott. Catherine with a K. Lee is Leigh. Scott, Scott. That name was kind of given for her, and um, it wasn't, it's not her real name. And um, why did someone like her manager suggest the last name of Scott? He looked over the room, and there, sitting on the shelf, was a roll of Scott toilet tissue. That's a true story, I believe. That's a true story. Well, hello, Joanne Cooper Troop. That's a mouthful. Love that show. Love. Are you talking about Dark Shadows? Yeah, we watch it. We're on the third go round now. But I saw it a little when I was a kid, but we didn't watch it too much until till the pandemic in 2020. Well, hello, Kathleen. How are you? Hi. I'll stay quiet this time. Oh no, you can be a little racy. It's me that can't be racy. I gotta be careful. It's the disc jockey in me that comes out. It's the flesh. If we really want to talk about it, the flesh versus the spirit. And so the last half hour of a Saturday night show, I cut out because I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with me. I wasn't happy with me. So that won't happen to that level again. Not that it was that bad, but you know what I'm saying. Takeout food is getting worse. A waste of money, says Shelly H. By the way, where are you guys from in Florida? I just love your state. I would love to move there, but Karen can't. She's kind of stuck in New York here. Her son needs the benefits, and they don't have those. They don't have expanded Medicaid in the state of Florida or in South Carolina. Well, in some cases, certainly if you're pregnant, you can get it. The North Carolina, they don't have it. They don't have it in Tennessee. The places that need it the most have governors for some reason that don't allow it, and it's really something that you need. Everybody needs health insurance. Love anything you have to say about Elvis, says Linda Francis. Better to Nell, you're saying. You're making me think of the Jodie Foster movie where she played the girl that couldn't speak. Better to something, as Bob Joyce. Watch his sermons every Sunday evening. They are great. I'm going to get real serious about that just for a second, but I'm not going to say what I'm going to say down the road. Sorry, better known as Bob Joyce. Yeah. I've been covering this for 6 years plus now. Didn't even know who Bob Joyce was when 2018 began. And then I discovered him here on YouTube, and I was totally fascinated. I was already interested in the Elvis may have faked his death story. I'd seen the Bill Bixby specials, and I read Miss Giorgio's book, questioning whether Elvis was dead or whether he had faked his death. I'd heard about all the Elvis sightings, which started around 1978, 79. And so then I started looking into things, and I found the Phil Aitchison report where it talked about how he did it and that he became John Burroughs. Shelley B., I'll show that picture in a minute that you sent me. Interesting. I don't know what to think about that. And you listen to him on Sundays. But I've been doing it for a long time, and I've indicated in the past that, we were going to wind it down, but the interest just got crazy, spiking the interest for this topic. And there's not too many people that do what I do, like the storyteller. They are much more gifted in putting up fancy pictures and songs. So I don't know how they do the songs. Well, if it's a live performance, you can usually do it on YouTube. Other than that, you need a music license. They won't let you do it. They've taken my music out more than once, and that's the rules, and I accept that. But um, how do I want to say this without saying too much at this time? Um, Not everybody is happy that I do it. Not everybody is happy. Uh, One thing I said in 2018 that I meant with all my heart is if Pastor Bob was unhappy with the videos, all he had to do was video chat me on Facebook and ask me to take them down, and I would say, yes, sir. I meant that with all my heart. I wouldn't do a video about it. I wouldn't ask him any questions about it. I might ask him how the weather is in Benton, compliment him on his wonderful head of hair, that kind of thing. But just like if I went to the church, which I guess I won't be doing, um, if I went to the church, I would be the best behaved person there. I wouldn't be looking to do a video about my experience. They don't want you talking about any subjects that people seem to love to talk about there. I know that already. So I would be a joy to meet him if he wanted to meet me, but he probably doesn't. And but I'm not deceptive. I've never said something into this microphone that I thought was a lie. Um, I just did it because I was genuinely interested in it, and then I saw that I had an audience, and that was appealing to me. I'll admit that. It was appealing to me that people were subscribing, and all of a sudden, I had bigger hits than I had ever had on any other topic, including Carlton Pearson, the TV evangelist who walked away from his faith in Jesus. 27 people watching right now. And, but I said in 2018, um, that I would take the videos down if Pastor Bob, I had to know it was him. I don't want somebody who says they're his best friend. I want the pastor to tell me that he wants the videos down, and I would do that. I would do that. That's what I said. In 2022, I got in touch with someone from the inner circle, and I'll tell you more about that in a video that I'm going to be doing. Um, I can say this in the live stream, your speech will not be censored. Whatever you want to talk about, I will react to what you say. But unless there's breaking news, and I'm not just talking about semi-breaking news, but breaking news, I probably you will see me backing away from the topic. Can't do it forever. And if yeah, I'll say more about this when I do a video about it. Okay, I'm just kind of whetting your appetite there, but you can always bring it up. You can bring up what's on your mind here. We'll talk just about everything, about everything. I walked alone today, but the walk always makes me feel better, doesn't it? I mean, it's a real chore to get out there and do that. Valerie Bertinelli says that. She says that I didn't want to walk, but I got out there and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. And when it's kind of cold here, I don't like to do it. But I sometimes persevere and do it anyway because it's real important to get that cardio in, walk fast, walk up a hill and what have you if you can. And I'm all with you on that. Just be careful because I don't know exactly where you are, but it's a different world out there. I don't think women should be going alone on these trails. We have railroad trails here. It used to be the railroad ran through, and now it's a walking trail or a biking trail. You can get hit by a bike on there too if you're walking. But you got to have a bunch of people with you because you never know who's coming around the next corner. And we live in a whole different world today. Not only will they rob you if you have something to rob, and you always want to have your ID and stuff, they'll hurt you, or even worse, worse. Shelly H says Elvis is 88. Time to go home to Graceland. That's what she's saying. I carry a stun gun and pepper spray. Well, good for you, Kathleen. When I was a peace officer for 19 years, they wouldn't let me carry pepper spray. They wouldn't let any of the officers carry pepper spray. We had a nightstick. I would have been any good. I took training, but come on. Um, your best weapon, I went to a thing called verbal judo. Your best weapon is right here. You talk it down. You talk it down. You let them know you respect them and what have you, and you don't do anything without backup there. I learned that, um, you don't. So here I am as a peace officer in, I don't know, maybe 2005. We had, I just talked about a walking trail, the Heritage Trail, we call it. We had a golf cart, and we had a guardhouse right next to the Heritage Trail, and we would go up and down and patrol. I don't know what would have happened if I got 2 miles up on the trail on this golf cart, and there was something that would require me to a physical altercation all by myself. That wouldn't have went well at all. So I pray that that never happened, but this is me pretending to be a peace officer. I did this job for 19 years, 19 years, from 88 to 2007, where they closed the homeless shelter in upstate New York, but run and owned by the city of New York. So I got to work for the city without being in it, and having that badge that said police was real good if I got pulled over for speeding. Yeah, they didn't know I was a pretend cop, They didn't know. It said police right on the badge, even though we had peace officer status. Talking about Walina Joyce, are we? Gotta try to see where that started. I don't know. Um, why would he go back? Judy Wright says. Um, I think that you can't do something forever. If we were right about who he was, and he's 88 years old, I just I feel in my gut that there's change in the air. I feel that there's change in the air when this is just my personal take. I could be wrong, just possibilities. I'm just reacting to what you're saying. Is that when you start singing Can't Help Falling in Love in Church, when you sing the very song during a praise service, I was told he didn't pick the song. And I'm not laughing at anybody. People are very sensitive and thin skinned. At least somebody is. And that's not the deal. When you find something ironic, it's a normal human reaction to say, sounds a little weird for me to buy into that. If you tell me the Pope's a Muslim, I might go, I don't think so. That's normal reaction. Don't be so thin skinned. But uh, yeah, I think when you sing the song that Lisa Marie chose as a tribute song, he certainly would have known that song was that. Come on. When you sing that with all your heart, and some of you feel he said, I love you during this, not after that song, but before that, he says into the microphone, I love you. And then what was that last word? It wasn't Lord. I love you, Yisa, which was her nickname, or some say Lisa. I've even heard some say Marie. I know my nails are getting too long. Karen tells me about that all the time. And I say, well, you're my manicurist, even though you're a womanicurist. So I think when you do stuff like that, um, I just think that there's a chance, but he'll get to Graceland and Riley will open up the door and say, this is my place now. First mom tried to get it. Now you're trying to get it. This is my place. I'm closing down the tours and everything. Riley Keough, is that how you say it? Great actress that she is. Not that I saw the Girlfriend Experience, all 10 episodes. Hearts Wild is here. Hello. Hi. Good to see you. Good to see you too. Hearts Wild. I'm glad you joined us. Got 31 watching right now. Wow. On a Wednesday night. Truth One. So many coincidences. Yeah. People, someone criticized me for using the word coincidences. Like, well, they wouldn't be coincidences then, would they? Of course not. I'm saying there are too many to be coincidences. And you guys want to talk about that here? And I'm not here to censor you. The last I checked, this is not North Korea. The last I checked, I'm certainly not the only person that does this topic. How many people? Less than used to be, though. Yeah, I notice. I notice some couple of the big ones are gone now, right? Um, Three severed heads refers to something I know that I've heard people say. I'm who I've always been. Uh, Pastor Bob, and you think he did say "Love you, Lisa." Yeah, there was a denial that he did when they were in the strip mall. Oh, I almost feel now, if I let people get in my head, it's like all of a sudden I'm going to not be able to react to what you people are saying. This has been going on since 2011. They knew the reaction they would get in 2011. They knew it. They took a gamble. They rolled the dice. It's still contained. And if that's the way the Holy Spirit wants it, that's definitely the way. I've told the story, and I'm not going to keep retelling the story. And the videos aren't going to be up forever. I'm certainly not going to pull them at a time before YouTube pays their programmers at certain times of the year. And I get a pittance because I don't put up those fancy videos that get, 250,000 hits or something. I get paid, but I'm not going to destroy that by taking them off when the pay period for the programmers is coming up. I don't know if it's the same for all programmers. I know for me, it's probably not too far away. At that point, I'm going to start to take videos down. Because some of them been up for quite a while, like the Bob Joyce Elvis Factor. So like, share, record, whatever you want to do, save. I have no problem with that. You're late, Deborah Lake. You don't mean like that. I understand. I thought you've been here for a while, Deborah. So there's another Deborah, huh? That's what I'm confusing. Do we have two Deborahs that spell it BRA at the end? Yeah. Well, welcome. Randy's here from North Carolina. RB is Randy, also known as Tammy. Tammy is his significant other. And even Christopher Watson joins us. I was thinking all the guys were, staying away, but we have more guys than we had on Saturday night, I think. And Joseph was here. Probably still is. Joseph Kelly. You're late too. Well, that's okay. See, we are still open for business for a little while. Rhonda says he welcomes so many visitors every Sunday from states and countries announcing it. And then, yeah, he takes pictures in the lobby or whatever. Exactly. Exactly. Um, so um, I really want to know the heart of the pastor. Uh, I want to know the heart of the pastor. If Bob Joyce is upset with me, he could have told me in 2018. In 2022, I gave my personal phone number to someone in the inner circle. I have done my due diligence. I've done my due diligence. And remember, for the first 4 years I did this, I didn't make 10 cents. It wasn't, well, I'm going to make this. I didn't even think about it. And then all of a sudden, we went to 1,000 subscribers. We're closing in on, we're about 800 away from 3,000 now. And please like and subscribe and have others do it too. I'd love to get to 3,000 because then we'd have a better shot at getting some guests via Zoom, perhaps, Got to learn how to do that. It scares the HELL out of me. But yeah, exactly. So I have done my due diligence, and you know, um, uh, was always willing to take the videos down if Pastor Bob wanted them down. Um, Obviously, a lot of the hits that he's gotten over the years, the programmers, the Facebook groups have had a lot to do with that, of letting people know there's this wonderful man preaching the gospel in Benton, Arkansas. we've played a role. So I've never been sure, and since I don't know because I can't take secondhand information because um, I want the mind of Pastor Bob on that, and so I'm still hoping that'll happen. I'm still hoping that'll happen because I can be trusted. I can be trusted when I'll just relate to this just in case Pastor Bob were to see this. Um, this gentleman was doing security at this event where Aretha Franklin was at, and he held the door to or at the end. He held the door to her limo or SUV, whatever it was, and Aretha looked at him and said, "Shut the door." And he says, "When the Queen of Soul tells you to shut the door, you shut the door." So when the king of rock and roll, or someone who looks a lot like him, and when the pastor of a great church who preaches now all over the world via YouTube and his website. When he tells you to do something, you do it. So I think Pastor Bob would know that. I would hope he would. Love you, Pastor Bob. It's always been about sharing a fascinating topic and um, assuming that you you were okay with it because what's that thing? There's no such thing as bad publicity. But I realize that there are people in the church that if we happen to be right, we don't want to lose our pastor here. We don't want to lose our pastor, and you could have a hand in that happening. And I certainly don't want that. So I get that too. Talk about rambling. That's why we call it worldwide rambling. So I like to weed. I like to weed. Well, I don't actually like to weed. I like to mow the lawn sometimes, with the push mower because it's a workout. There's also a riding mower here because the yard is pretty big. You're still here. That's good. I fell asleep Saturday during the live. Got to make up for it. Well, yeah, Joseph. Uh, Christine's going to try to put up a clearer picture for you, maybe a screenshot or something on the newest video that we have here, which is growing very fast. Pastor Bob Joyce close up, right? Is that what I called it? Pastor Bob Joyce close up. Yeah. That I released, well, it's coming up on like 24 hours. And the last I saw was going to 600 views. Our biggest video is going towards 70,000. That would be Bob Joyce, The Verdict. Bob Joyce Elvis / The Verdict, going to 70,000. Yeah, that's what I hear, Shelly H. What you just wrote there, that's what I hear. But doesn't mean they're going to be happy that there's a storyteller highlighting it. They're not necessarily going to be happy with that. Um, uh, Deborah Lake says, I think Pastor Bob will pastor the church at Graceland in the new chapel. In the new chapel. Wouldn't be big enough, right? But then again, even the theater at the Elvis Hotel down the block is only like 246 seats. I have a video. Will Pastor Bob perform at the guest house, they call it, the guest house, the Elvis Hotel in Memphis? That would be my guess. You ain't coming into his home, okay? If Elvis ever went back to Graceland, you ain't coming there. You ain't going into those gates. No more tours. Elvis's house is his house, both floors. And well, now I don't know about Riley. She's not going to live there, though, right? You'd have to go to over perfect place is the Guest House Theater. And if you ever want to do something big, I bet you Memphis has a big auditorium, right? Where they have their concerts and stuff. But I don't think he'd want to do it. I think he'd want to keep it intimate, like he's used to now. But we may all be wrong, you know. It's just a 50, 60 coincidences, Frozen in Time at Graceland. Yeah, who was it that oh yeah, Prince Harry. Shelly B told me about this, right, Shelly? Um Prince Harry said some negative stuff. This guy just doesn't know how to shut his mouth. You don't know how to shut his mouth. He's not even going to the coronation now. Everybody doesn't want him there anyway. They loved him at one time, but he blew it for himself. Your family is your family, and you don't join in on the dissing. That doesn't mean you don't stand up for your wife too and say, when she has a valid point, it's fine. But she should have never made fun of the protocol of the curtsy. Am I doing it right and stuff like that? Unnecessary. Unnecessary yibber yabber. What are you saying, Randy? Elvis had to die in 77 so he could live. Yes, Randy, that is so true, I believe. So true. And by the way, thank you for liking the Larry Chance video. Elvis, he's alive. That's about 500 views or so right now, right here at the virtual church. If you haven't seen it, please do. Larry Chance does a wonderful job with that song. He comes to no conclusions as to who Elvis may be now. He did thank me for putting up the video and said he had no objections to it. And he certainly didn't have any other comments about, anything else. I've never really met Larry, but seen him in concert a number of times. And he is one of my Facebook friends. He is. Um, but Harry said that whoever designed this house must have been on acid. He's talking about the shag carpet and everything. Harry, this was the 70s. You don't get it. That's how it was in the 70s. Shag carpet, outrageous colors and things like that. I think of the way I used to go to junior high school. Not only did I have bell-bottom pants, I had flare pants that were tie-dyed. I looked kind of like a brown cow, a mixture of brown and then tie-dyed like a white. I'll never forget Mr. Bowie, my substitute teacher, and then he became a history teacher there. I've talked about him before. He called me up to the class for some reason, and he looked at my pants, and everybody laughed at his reaction to my flare pants. I even had bell-bottom shirts, which the cuff couldn't be a bell-bottom, but they puffed out here. And if I would have known eBay was coming, I would have been buying all this stuff in droves, keeping it in the same package. Who knew? Who knew that eBay was coming? I would have bought a lot of cool stuff in the 70s and never opened it. And then when I heard about this thing called Bitcoin a number of years ago, I think I might have purchased some right then. And what is it called? Amazon? I'll buy me some shares. I'll buy me some shares. We could have all become multimillionaires that way. We just didn't know. You loved your bell-bottom pants and your platform shoes. How can you walk in those, hearts wild? It must have been tough, right? I would marvel. I still marvel when I see women in pumps and things like that. Um, Karen loves Sex in the City, and they were all shoe crazy on there, especially Sarah Jessica Parker. But yeah, just had some incredible fashions then. Jimmy says, and the paisley shirts. Yeah, we did have some wild clothes in the 70s. So I guess we're all from the same age group. I think we have some people a little older and some people a little younger, but we're all basically from the same age group. If you're wearing bell-bottom pants in the 70s, you're probably in your 60s now. When we saw Peter Noon in concert, Herman from Herman's Hermits, um, he said he was going to do other people's songs too. He's got a lot of hits, but he needs to freshen it up and keep it alive because people have seen him many times in some cases. He needs to surprise you. And someone said, only 60s. He says, well, it's the 60s I know best because I've lived through them twice. Otherwise, age-wise, and the decade of the 60s, twice. Yeah, I love the 80s too. Me too. I listened to music to about 88, and then I stopped. Then I completely stopped listening to new stuff, except when I played the contemporary Christian music in the 90s on the Christian network, and loved that. But other than that, the 90s music I didn't care for at all, really. It started to get a little better. I'm talking about the alternative stuff, even started to get a little bit better in the early 2000s. So we have a station that plays that. and I noticed that there were, a group like the Killers. I know who they are. They did some good song. Is it the Killers that the guy sounds like John Lennon? No, it's that other name. Can't think of what's the group where the guy who sings lead sounds like Lennon. Can't think of it. I was born in '89, so we'll call you Junior here. Yeah, we know who. You got to go pick up the pizza, okay? You're a youngster, born in '89. Um, what was I doing in the year '89? I was in my first marriage. I had I was working for the city of New York as a peace officer. I didn't do radio in '89. That was the year I didn't. I left Middletown Radio in '88, and in 1990 I began 11 years plus at the Christian Network weekends and being a peace officer the rest of the time. And so in '89, that was probably just a lot of overtime at the homeless shelter. A lot of fun times there, a lot of good people that I met there. And today's music is awful. I guess I would agree that for the most part. I couldn't tell you a single song by, what's her name? The legend of today, someone bigger than Adele. Taylor Swift. I have a Taylor Swift video up here about Ticketmaster. I was just kind of going for hits on that one. I'll admit to that. Same thing with the Adele video. But I had something to say that I really wanted to say in both times. So I guess I shouldn't make it sound like I did it just for that. Of course, neither one of them were successful, because what Taylor Swift fan is going to want to see me talk about her? Yeah. Wrong audience. Wrong audience. Yeah, you like Taylor Swift. She's funny, and that's fine. I'm not listening, so I don't know. I know she's got more money than God. Not really, but you know what I mean. Carrie Underwood, fantastic. Jesus Take the Wheel, right? That was her. One of the success stories from American Idol. There's never been a success story from The Voice. How many years have they been on? Oh, Shelley H. is saying John Lennon's still alive. Somebody else said that to me and wanted me to do an investigation. He died on a sidewalk in front of a whole bunch of people. That would be, my belief. And I was at a lead battery factory that night. I was at a lead battery factory. And the workers had to wear a machine that would alert them to what their lead count was. And if it got too high, they had to leave the job for a while. We didn't usually go into the actual plant, but we did have that apparatus if we did have to go in. It looked like such a dark and dismal place. It was called, what is it? What was that called? RSR, whatever that stood for. But if they dealt with lead, I'm sure it was batteries or what they were doing, but I was working with this miserable old guard. There were two of us on the shift, and people were coming in to work for the 11 to 7 shift, and he would open up the doors. They were coming in, and he would say, "Hey, did you hear John Lennon has high lead?" I literally wanted to slam his head through the glass, but I of course, didn't. Not my style. That's why I should have never been a peace officer, because I really wasn't too good in that area of self-defense. I'm not talking about violence, but I'm talking about, you should have to defend yourself. I wasn't the best for that. We have the same taste in Christian music, says Shelley B. Have you seen the Bart Millard movie? I Can Only Imagine. Is that based on the song? I think, is it my man Mark Lowry that wrote that song? Mark Lowry is an incredible writer and Christian singer. He was the lead singer for the Gaither Vocal Band. And if you go on Facebook, you can sign up for Mark Lowry's Christian sing-along called Just Whenever. In other words, it's like me when I do the pop on to pop off videos here. That's when we're live, but I just do it on a whim for some reason. That's the same thing. For him, he comes on and does these sing-along videos, and he puts the words on the screen. You can sing some of the songs. He wrote some really big ones. I think he did write the song Because he lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. That's Mark Lowry, genius of a man, and a wonderful Southern man he is, always touring. He's about my age, or maybe a year younger, something like that. Have you seen the Jesus Movement movie yet? No, I have not. I have not. Um, Number of movies I want to see. Yeah, they'll all be showing up now somewhere, right? If they're not in the theater, because it's Easter's coming. Easter's coming, but not as much in this w- uh, world drenched in sin. They're probably that'll start to dissipate too, like everything else. I just can't believe. You know, I mean, I'm glad to be alive. I thank God for life, but I can't believe how much the world has changed and how much evil. And my generation had something to do with that. Our generation, I could say, for some of you, we were loving the Donna Summer songs because she would go on to become a born again Christian. And we were loving the dirty songs in the 70s. When I talked about Hot Chocolate, their two hits was You Sexy Thing. Remember that song? I believe in miracles. Something, you sexy thing. And then Everyone's a Winner was their other hit from Hot Chocolate. 'Cause somebody said they were drinking hot chocolate. I remember that. I haven't had hot chocolate in a long time. No, it's not something, because as my son says, I don't want to drink my calories, and I have to worry about that. I have to worry about that. Beyonce, Beautiful Woman. Couldn't tell you one of her songs. Did see her in Austin Powers. Was it the third one? Yeah, beautiful, beautiful woman. Um, and Wild Thing, you make my heart sing. The Trogs, you make everything groovy. Truth One. Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time I played that song on the radio, if I had a nickel. The Chosen is awesome. Is this the new one where Jesus is a Latino? It sounds like a Latino Jesus, which is fine. Uh, um, what's the line he says in this? You're seeing the promos for it on TV where he's indicating that, if you're going to do good things, you don't have to do them because you want them to do them. That's the theme of it. Some of will exactly what I'm saying, or when you see the commercial, you'll say, oh yeah, that's what he was talking about. Yeah, I played a lot of contemporary Christian music. Christopher Watson. Then I had a local show that was on Saturday afternoons at 4 o'clock for the local Christian artists. They could send in a cassette tape at the time. They could send in a CD. Um, and it was called Hometown Tracks. I spelled tracks, Trax, on the Sound of Life. Hometown Tracks. Highly listened to when I would go out and meet people. Yeah, which Austin Powers movie was that? Hearts Wild, that Beyonce. She was in one, wasn't she? Or am I confusing that with something else? That could happen. That could happen. I love the Austin Powers movies. I did. Um, Very much. Yeah. Oh, I loved Hot Chocolate, such a soulful voice. Gladys Knight and the Pips. How's this for a concert? Three Severed Heads. I went to Avery Fisher Hall in the late 70s and um I saw Gladys Knight and the Pips. If it were three, oh, here's the disc jockey coming out. Um 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm talking up a Gladys Knight and the Pips song, I would say, here's Gladys Knight and her gorgeous set of Pips. Midnight train to Georgia at 92 Rock 7. That's what I would say. Anyway, I'm going to a concert at Avery Fisher Hall, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and she's the opening act. She's a superstar, not a superstar. That would be probably who would show up stoned all the time? Jim Morrison. Another story. Um, but Gladys Knight was the opening act because the headliner, it was a cold bill, obviously, was Ray Charles. I saw that concert. Gladys Knight and the Pips, and then Mr. Ray Charles, one of the greatest concerts I ever saw. I ever saw. That was a special night. And I was young and had my big hair and everything. Do I have any show recordings I can post that without a music license? Certainly, YouTube would not allow it. There's a DJ. A lot of DJs use something called Live 365, which is basically you're going to be doing a 24-hour music stream, and there's auto DJ and everything, but it's only for the states and for the UK. I don't think Australia, Shelly B. I don't think Australia. So if I'm going to be recording new Radio Jack shows, and I'm going to allow for commercial breaks. It's going to be an hour long, playing the greatest hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and some what I call prime cuts, which is a great album cut. It can even be something that's newer, but it's got to fit in with the style of the music of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like there are 80s songs I would never play because they don't blend with 60s and 70s. Huey Lewis blends perfectly, but I'm not going to play Whip It by Devo. For one thing, the song is played to death, and it's punky. And I don't want to play punky, and I know Shelly B agrees with that. She's not a punky fan. She didn't even like Punky Brewster. Said Punky Brewster was annoying. That's what Shelly B told me. Would be awesome. Let me see here. What have I got? I didn't put your Radio Jack logo up on my phone yet. I had to get. I'm now paying $1.99 to Google Photos for more storage space because I was running out of everything, including email. My my Gmail. So now for $1.99, I got 100 Gs or whatever because I wasn't getting your emails this week. I realized, even though I erased everything in trash and stuff, it still didn't seem to be enough. So now I've got more space, like in my head, plenty of space there. I could rent some space out. Let's see. Okay, Shelly B wanted, she showed me, we say, of course, our theory is what Phil Asian, who did the Elvis report, did Elvis fake his death? In 77, he went into the witness protection program. He left Graceland in a helicopter. People always like it when I talk about helicopters. He went in a helicopter to the airport, and he was known as John Burroughs. That was the new identity that was given to him, and he may have went to Argentina for a long time of being made well in mind, body, and spirit. He was very sick, and he was near death. And he went to someplace, could have been Argentina, and John Burroughs was the name. And Shelley B found an ID. I'm just showing you this. We don't have any pictures of the in between years, right? And she feels this could be some authenticity, perhaps, to this. And here we have John Burroughs. John Burroughs. Now, someone will say, I can't see that. Do a screenshot, but I think you can see that. I think you can see that. The hair doesn't look right. He has more hair than that, right? It doesn't here, it doesn't go in that far. I don't know. Could be a wig, right? He's wearing sunglasses, but don't that look like Elvis Presley? Wouldn't you say if you saw John Burroughs, my God, you look like Elvis Presley? Other people say that today. I don't know why they do that. Here I am today at Family Dollar. Baby girl 57 wanted to go to Family Dollar today, and here I am there. And the reason I took that picture is my son is a tractor trailer driver, not in this area, and he delivers to Family Dollar stores. Yeah. So that's all I got to show you right now. But it was Shelly B that gave us the logo, including the World Ramblings logo, created it, and she was also nice enough to give me a birthday card on March 21st. right there. And when I saw that logo, I said, Shelly, can you send me that logo without the writing? Because I think I want to use that. I want to use that. Well done. Well done. Thank you, Shelly B. Yeah. John Burroughs. That's JB backwards, BJ. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Joseph Kelly. What was everyone's first concert? Mine was the I thought you were going to say the B-52s there, but it was, oh, I see. Your first concert was in 8/31/01, so you're younger. Leonard Skinner with Ted Nugent in 01. Well, you only saw like one member of Leonard Skinner then, if it was then, right? Yeah. With Ted Nugent. Yes. Good conservative man who loves his guns in Birmingham, Alabama. My mama took me and my buddy to it for my 16th birthday, 9501. All right. Yeah, Leonard Skinner has been around this neck of the woods many times. I think the last remaining member died very recently, right? In the last few weeks. Didn't I hear that? Clyde, Ohio for Rhonda. Hello, Rhonda. I know you're here already, but you're reminding us you're in the great state of Ohio. And Bad Company Sticks in 1999. Okay, yeah, do the first concert you ever went to. I got to think about it. I'm thinking about it right now. Redneck Ways. The great Paul Rogers. What group, Redneck Ways, did Paul Rogers sing in before he sang lead for Bad Company? I'm not saying what he did after Bad Company, but what did he do before Bad Company? Hmm? Hmm? Do you know? You may be too young to know. I don't know now. Um, my first concert was Paul McCartney. Kathleen, wow, you started in style. I've never seen Sir Paul. To my shame, I've had many opportunities. I wish I had. I've only seen Ringo. That's the only Beatle I've ever seen. Ringo Starr and the All Star Band. He sang with a group called Free and had a huge hit in 1968. And, I can't sing, as you've already discovered, but all right now, baby, it's all right now. Paul Rogers, that was the first time he was introduced to us. And then later, of course, with a slew of hits for Bad Company. And then, what was it next? I bet you know that. I bet you know what he did after Bad Company, right? Um, somebody with the initials AL does what he did for a while now. AL. And he was on American Idol. Not Paul Rogers, but AL was. He didn't win, though. You don't have to win on American Idol. You just have to be, successful. And even if you're like in the top 5, you probably play the county fairs, something like that. um, you love what song? All Right Now by Free, Paul Rogers. You like that? Three Severed Head says, I wish I'd seen Stevie Ray Vaughan. Oh, you like the blues, huh? I've known a lot of blues groups. There's a man in this very building right now that is downstairs from me that I have known for 50 years. He was in the Little Sammy Davis Blues Band that appeared on the Imus in the Morning show, and they were on TV for a while. So he was on TV for like a special little telethons that Imus would do. Some of you probably only East Coast people might know this, even though Imus was on all over the country at some point, both radio and TV. Okay. There were 4 alive, and I'm trying to think when the plane crash was. What year did the Leonard Skinner plane crash happen? I thought it was after 2001. No, I can't remember, though. I can't remember. It killed most of them. It killed the lead singer, that's for sure. It all depended on that situation where you were in the plane. It was a small plane, And one of the last things the lead singer of Leonard Skinner said was, because this was told by one of the surviving members, "Lord, please don't take my life." That was like his last words. Hmm. Anyway, um, after Bad Company, way after Bad Company, Paul Rodgers became the lead singer of Queen after the passing of Freddie Mercury. Paul Rodgers, and I don't know, I never really heard him do it. But Adam Lambert from American Idol, he didn't win, but he was in the top three. He is still out there with Queen and sounds very much like Freddie Mercury, but there'll only be one Freddie Mercury, right? Only one. Yeah, Paul Rodgers, that was a surprise. He went out with Queen for a good while, a good while. Um, Yep, I think Leonard Skinner is officially done. In fact, they were coming to our fairgrounds in 2022, and they scheduled it twice and they canceled twice, and now they are no more because who would it be? It's terrible when it's nobody because that's not supposed to happen. The rule is supposed to be there's got to be at least one original member. It can't be all the kids of the original members. It can be, but you can't use that name. You're a tribute band then. Often I say if the lead singer is not there, like in Styx, no Dennis DeYoung, it's not Styx to me. If you don't have Dennis DeYoung, you're not Styx to me. Tommy Shaw is great and all that, but I need to hear Dennis because he sang almost all the hits, all the hits. And I'm a hit kind of guy, being a top 40 DJ. Keep talking. I know you guys are having a good chat. Oh my God, we're at 2 hours already? Yeah, we are at 2 hours and there's still 30 people. I worry about the video going too long in terms of the playback, although you can always watch part of it, stop it, or you can just watch part of it and be done, Um, That's the deal there. Not too many people mention their wedding songs. In the 70s, the popular wedding songs, the number one wedding song, and it was Karen's wedding song at her wedding, and she got married before I did, and she's a year younger. Color My World by Chicago was the number one wedding song of the 70s. I think that's right. Right behind it was Heat Wave, Always and Forever. Always and Forever by Heatwave, a very popular wedding song in the 70s. And there are more. There are more. um, which song do you like, Hearts Wild? By the way, my personal email, if you want to say something that, for future topics or whatever's on your mind, Jack the Fair Guy, Fair, like you're going to the carnival, going to the fair, Jack the Fair Guy at gmail.com. On Chain Melody. Remember when Elvis did that at his last concert as they held the mic in his face and he was sweating so profusely and he was at the piano and he sang an incredible version of that. The Spinners' Hearts Wild. And I don't think you mean the Rubber Band Man, do you? So much rhythm, grace, and debonair from one man, the Rubber Band Man. Oh, I used to love to talk up the Spinners songs back in my DJ days. I guess my favorite one to talk up was Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? I'd have this whole rap about, let's see, I'm maxing out my credit cards. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Could it be I'm falling in love? Here are the Spinners at 92 Rock 7. Oh, those were the days, my friend. I thought they'd never end. Somebody write that down. That could be a hit. That could be a hit. Could be if this were 1972, not so much today. Keeper of the Stars was popular. Why do I know that, Jimmy? Who did Keeper of the Stars? I mean, I've heard the title. Yeah, I Get Around, right? From the Spinners. That was them, right? And they had others. We had the Stylistics come here in late 2022 in October, and we went to see the Stylistics, and it was everybody original, but the voice you heard most in the stylistics, Russell Thompson Jr. wasn't there, but the guy doing him sounded exactly like him, and the other lead voice was there, and they had mega hits. Anybody remember the stylistics? You are everything, and everything is you. You make me feel brand new. So God bless me with you. Betcha by golly, wow. You're the one that I've been waiting for forever. The audience loved them here at the Paramount Theater. They love them. I mean, I love them. I love those love songs. They don't have a fast song, the Stylistics. They had people make the world go round. That was a little bit more up tempo, but all their songs. So the guy who was the middleman who just basically does background vocals, he said, "Yeah, we'd release a song, and my God, you'd run to the record store and you'd get it." And we'd say, "Wow, I wonder if that could happen again." We'd release another one. Betcha by golly, wow. And you ran and you bought that one too. So thank you. You kept buying record after record. You had to run to the record store and get these songs on a 45 or buy the album. You had to do that. Yeah, you're right, Shelley. Beyond Chain melody was great. It was written originally for a movie about life in prison based on the book Prisoners Are People, which was released in 1955, the year I was in the womb. Was I? Yeah, I was definitely in the womb in 1955. I might have heard it in the background, but I can't be sure. It's just a distant memory. And I could remember because it's from 55. What the heck I did yesterday is where I have problems. Good night, Shelly H. We're wrapping it up here, too. We are. Nancy DeMarco comes in late. Hi from Oklahoma by way of Long Island. By way of Long Island. What part of the island or the Guyland were you from? Anywhere near where Billy Joel lives down at Sag Harbor? That's Billy Joel territory, right? Ah, yes. Also wonderful. Tracy Bird did that. I've heard the name. So now both sound familiar to me, but I'd have to hear the song. You made me think of Tracy Ullman. Remember her, the Tracy Ullman Show, and that song, that one big hit record she had. So we've had a lot of fun here. The song Always and Forever, so beautiful. Yeah, it was the second. Color My World had to be number one, but Always Forever. Every cover band had to do these songs, and every single wedding band for decades had to do Celebration from Kool and the Gang. If you didn't know that song, you'd be thrown out of the hall. That's the way that went. Thank you so much for saying that, Hearts Wild. I'm sorry you came in late, Linda. The replay will start right here. I do a nice monologue talking about the tragedy. I say a nice monologue, a poignant one, talking about the tragedy in Nashville, etc. Then we get happy and talk about fun stuff. We'll be back Saturday night, if Lord willing, and the creek don't rise at midnight East Coast time. And you never know when I'll pop on to pop off. Those videos can happen at any time. And yeah. The recorded videos, same thing. You never know when they're going to pop up. Rhonda talking about Detroit Motown. Can't get any better than that. Mr. Levi Stubbs, the lead singer of the Four Tops, for example. God bless you. Have a terrific night. Sweet dreams are made of this. Sometimes I have a kind of dream I don't want to wake up from. And a little naughty sometimes. Shelly B and Kathleen, what am I to do? What am I to do? Take care of yourself. It's a dangerous world, so be careful out there. Pray for this world, because what happens in America affects every other country, and vice versa, vice versa. Big God bless you. Talk to you soon.